with them, praying for them, communicating with them, okay? And so that's why we want to make sure you got together. Now, I'm going to talk to you real quick about how we're going to use the Google Drive. And so here's probably the thing that you've all been wanting to know. And Trevor assures us that it can support us all. So SFUMC-guest is the internet access, and then Smyrna guest is the password. And we only ask that if you're when you're here during these times, that you're not streaming an NFL game or a college football game or any other kind of game that might be taking away from all the bandwidth from everyone else. All right, Tommy? So no checking your fantasy football or any of that while you're here. Okay? Or listening to, watching Netflix. We'll see in January whether those youth that you bring are engaged with us or they're watching Netflix on their phones, because we just don't want to give them access to this network. All right, so we've switched from using other means to using Google Drive, and one of the challenges that we have sometimes is that everybody may not have a Google based email. And so what I've done, if you're connected right now to the internet, and if not, you can write this website down, bit.ly/SCMI, all caps, content. Or you can type it into your computer, and hopefully, magically, it'll be on the same page that I'm going to show you in just a second. Okay? So that's the link to, did it work? bit.ly/SCMI, all caps, content. So once you're in the Google Drive content, this is what it's going to look like in terms of the folders that are in there. You'll see a folder that looks like that, okay? And let me show you what it looks like if I can pull up on my computer, make sure I just didn't know if my internet was going to be good or not. But let me see. All right. So and that's a little bright, or not very bright. There you go. So inside this folder, you see it? There will be a folder for each day. All right? So inside this day 1 folder, you look in there and you'll see a folder at the top that says Safe Spaces Training. You'll see a PDF that says August 12th schedule, day 1 handout, Stephanie Caro. It'll look like that based on the content for each day. You'll see that inside the folder, and usually that stuff will be uploaded before you get here, okay? And so there's the homework and call schedule, and then this sheet is something that I created today while we've been here, okay? And I'll see if I can get it to open so you can look at it. So these are the videos and sites that were referenced today so far that Stephanie talked about. So that Big Butt video, I have the link to where you can purchase it if you're interested in purchasing it. Thebestplaces.net, that's the look at cost of living. I looked at, she referenced Franklin. I live in Franklin, and the cost of living is, if the U.S. mean is 100, Franklin is 132, so you would take that $1,000 to $1,500 range and multiply it by 132, so it would be $1,320, and so on. Okay. Then the information that was on the thing about the online diagnostic, I just went ahead and put the website in that page also. Now you'll see, as people up there in the top right corner, you can see these little icons up here coming up. That's each of you that are jumping in on this page. And then over here you can see somebody's name is popping up. That's somebody that's actually on there to edit, right?
I'm on there uploading my PowerPoint.
Yes, okay. And so you have to be careful on some of these documents that are not PDF, that you're not in there changing content whenever you're maybe trying to copy something.
Yes, just download it and edit.
Don't always download and then edit. Okay? Now, let me go back. I'm going to close this out, or go back to our folder. And I want to go back into this cohort content folder. Down here, you'll see pre-coaching forms. Okay? There's a folder that says pre-coaching forms. There is a pre-coaching form in there with your church's name on it. What we want you to do, one, don't open another church's pre-coaching form, okay? But go in there. You can actually put the information in right on the form in that space. And it's some of the questions that Stephanie asked you to think about in terms of how many active youth, how many total youth, how many people you have in worship, those kind of things. What it's going to do is help our coaches have a better overview of your churches before they actually have their first call with you. Okay? So it's a pre-coaching form. So if we look at Asbury right here, it's sort of the content is small on the page. I'm going to blow it up a little bit so you can see what it looks like. Okay? So you'll fill out this form. The easiest thing to do is download it, put in the information, and then just email it to your coach. Okay?
Brad?
Yes.
So you just want one person from each team to fill this out? Right?
That would be ideal, yeah. We don't need everybody to fill out, like we don't have to, if you've got 5 people here, we don't want 5 forms. So talk about it as a group, or if your pastor knows, or maybe your secretary at your church knows the actual numbers better, or maybe you know them. Just fill out one form. So there's a form in there, as I said, for each of you. Okay? If you want to mess with Sean, go in and mess with Sean's numbers on Alder's Gate. Okay? All right. Questions on that? When do you need to have that done? That's really your first homework assignment. Let's get that pre-coaching form completed as soon as you can this next week, right?
Yeah, well, because it should be done by their first coaching call, because on the first coaching call, each one of the coaches is going to review the numbers, because numbers tell us a lot, and it also tells us and helps coach through whether they're really counting all the people they should be.
Right. So yeah, so your first coaching calls, like I said earlier, if you remember, your coach is going to be sending you a link to, or ask you to schedule a time to have a call with them. And so you'll know what that date is, and we would want that prior to that.
All of Mandy's churches and Christie's churches, all of those 6 churches should have got their doodle.com poll email already.
Okay. And so are you using that, Christine?
I have.
Okay. So some of you will be getting an email from doodle.com, especially the 6 that are working with Stephanie, Christy, and Mandy. Chandra will have a doodle that goes out to her churches. Julie will have a doodle that goes out to her churches. And it's a scheduling tool, and we'll show you how to do that at some point if you've never used it. It's a Google tool too. I use it all the time for getting people to figure out when they can meet, So the cool thing about it is, since I use Google Calendar, we do it in our office, I can populate it from my Google Calendar and Doodle, as I set up the Doodle poll, my Google Calendar can show me what's available or what's not available when I'm setting up the actual poll, okay? Also in this folder, the cohort content folder, you'll see underneath pre-coaching forms, you'll see team bios, so you can see the information about the 7 of us, and there's some really nice pictures in there as well. We want you to know who we are. And then, after I get done today, and then as we start to add more skills with Google, inside the Using Google folder, there'll be tutorials about how we did whatever we talked about in the cohort that day. So today there'll be the PowerPoint slide that I've got set up, and I'll have a little video that explains how that happens. When we start talking about how do you create use a Doodle form or Google form to create a little app that you can use on your phone or other device, to just take attendance, as we start making sure that we're tracking everybody. It's really easy to set up, in my opinion. It may not be in your opinion, but I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you'll be able to access the tutorial in that folder also. Okay? When you are done with your homework, or as you complete homework assignments and so on, you're going to send your homework to your coach. And your coach is going to be the one to put it into the folder. And so they're going to be asking you about your homework, and so you'll be sending that to them. So a little bit about the homework that we really didn't talk about. We want you to, as we said, utilize these books. In the Smaller Church Youth Ministry book, the book is laid out into 8 chapters. In each chapter, there's content, and then there's a response, and then there's some discussion questions. And the discussion questions, there might be 2 or there might be 4 at the end of a chapter. And we want you to read it, and we want you to think about those discussion questions. And just type up a response to that, okay? Or write out a response. We prefer it be typed so that it's easier for you to email, so you don't have to scan it or anything like that, and it's readable. And then with the Sustainable Youth Ministry books, we want you to read it and prepare a summary. What was the high points out of what you got from reading that chapter that you want to make sure you remember? And that can be done. Again, I would think that one easy accessible way for everybody to have input would be to, as a group, set yourself up with a Google Doc. So set yourself up with a Google Doc, and you'll have your, you can start writing your summary in there. So Ben could start writing a response, and then Trish goes in and she writes some information down about what she saw in the discussion questions. If you're not together where you can discuss, you can put the question in there. Ben answers, Trish answers. So it's all sort of right there together in one doc, and it makes it easier for your team, if they're not all together, to be able to have access to everybody's thoughts on that. But it's also easy for then the coach to be able to have access to it. Okay? And what you do to create a Google Doc is just go over here, and if you're going to do that, open up the homework folder, and then click on Google Doc or New, and then hit Google Docs. Okay, and it'll say Create and Share, and so it pops up like a word processing document, and then you can start typing in there. Okay. And so you could type over here in the top right, you could say, like the title of this essay would be, Brad is wonderful. Okay. All right, and so then you all would expound about how wonderful I am. And so, okay, right? Got it? Okay, that's your first assignment. It's a short story. Just kidding. So anyway, so then see it pops up. Once you exit out, it's in that homework drive folder.